Alô, Champ, aprova lá a professora Mônica. Deixa ela mandar link. Você pode aprovar isso. Tá bom, até já.
A professora Mónica chegou.
Olá, boa tarde. Boa tarde, professor. Eu preciso é que aceitem-me na sala, através do computador. Aqui dizem-me que um milícia deixá-lo a entrar, mas ainda não deixaram. Eu preciso que me aceitem na sala. Eu enfim, vamos tentar resolver isso, professor. Até já, obrigada.
Até já. Mas eu
Professora,
aceitei por acaso.
professora, desculpa, professora Mónica.
Foi embora.
Epa,
Mas
já
eu
sei.
tinha aceito, cliquei ali num Vzinho de aceitar.
Sim.
E estava a vê-la, e estávamos
E
a
eu
ouvi-la.
estou aqui a cuidar disso. Sim, sim. E ali, tranquilo, é? Opa, não sei, não sei. Eu estou aqui numa zona aqui. E tem umas duas mensagens que eu...
Adelaide, mobiliza lá os teus estudantes para entrarem. Sim, todos que pagaram. Pode mandar os statements, né? As notas, tudo.
Sou o professor doutor dos Santos Banga.
Ah, já cá está. Aí está a professora Mónica.
Professor, bem desde já por ter aceitado o nosso convite. É uma honra tê-lo entre nós. Eu não sei se do seu lado está tudo a funcionar bem, o som, a imagem.
Aparentemente está. Esperemos agora, quando fizer o share do ecrã, que a coisa continue, mas em princípio não há motivo para não funcionar bem.
Quer tentar? Já tentou partilhar?
Então vou tentar agora partilhar, só um minuto.
Força.
Vamos lá então partilhar isto. Estão a ver?
Sim, muito bem.
Pronto,
Ok.
então está.
Então, daqui um minutinho começamos.
Sim, sem stress. Eu só vejo pessoal português aqui. Mantemos a versão original combinada, certo?
Exato, exato.
Muito bem.
I would like to go to the full agenda. Professor João Penha Lopes will do a presentation about education in Portugal and the challenges in a automotion era. After that, I would like to invite Dharma to moderate the debate. And finally, Martha will finish the event. So, Professor will do the presentation in English. So, after that, I will do a short explanation in Portuguese because we have students in Brazil and Mozambique and Portugal. And after that, I would like to invite you to do some questions because I think that the most important in this event is the inspiration and the discussion that we can promote. So I think that we can start. What do you think, Professor?
Yes, as far as I'm concerned, I'm at your service.
Okay. So I'm Monica Freitas. I'm professor at UBI, University of Beira Interior. I am also professor at Escola Superior de Gestão Corporativa e Social de Moçambique and professor at the Federal University of Bahia in Brazil. So I am the dean of the discipline and introduction to Portuguese society.
And one of the themes of this discipline is education. I think that it was very, very important to invite Professor João Penha Lopes to do this presentation because he got a PhD in information management and a master's degree in telecommunication. He is a senior engineer, but he got many projects he used and awards in Portugal, like the project that he has developed to CDI, and he is a CEO of the enterprise Clever Time. Thank you so much, Professor. Correct me that I said something very, very badly. It's a pleasure to be with you, and I really hope that all of you can learn together. Thank you so much for coming, and the floor is yours. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Professor Monica. I will start speaking already, sharing the screen so that people don't fall asleep. There we are. I would like to thank Professor Monica and UBI, obviously, as well as CBS and Professor Lorenzo Diaz for all the background work. And a doubt crossed my mind because nobody ever asked me to talk about myself until today, until now. So I wondered, well, did Professor Monica press the wrong button when trying to invite someone? So in order for you not to lose face, I did my best so that you would not regret, even if it was a mistake. So having said this, let's go to the next to start the presentation itself. This is a very good question. If we have artificial intelligence, why do we need to get educated? Because you can go to the artificial intelligence and ask whatever you like. And actually today, the graduating in universities is almost as dangerous as writing a book, because when you write a book about a subject, by the time of printing, that the book probably is obsolete. There is new information about that subject. And in a lot of graduations, curriculums, you will see that the world goes much faster than the curriculums. So how do we get an educated person? How do we get educated? What I'm going to give you today is my perspective. Most of my student life and professional life have been alone. I don't have siblings. I needed to start sorting out myself alone since very young. So that gave me an advantage facing the world. The first thing I say is the end of the university training is absolutely not the end of education. Actually, it is really the beginning. It's like in martial arts. One tends to think, oh, when you get to black belt, then that's it. No. I've done a couple of them. The black belt is the level where you are able to start learning new stuff. Until there, it's just training and know the basics. If you think that education is not needed now, oh, you better think again. Education is, we'll see later, what is supposed to be taught by the universities. So I started my university training at the Instituto Superior Técnico, a degree in electrical engineering, and oh God, I was so wrong. You know that old joke, if you want if you want God to laugh, just tell him your expectations. So, and this was really it. Life is not linear. We do come out of university feeling very confident, yes, thank God. But real life always presented a lot of challenges that one tends to think, oh God, they didn't talk about this in the university. How am I going to sort out myself? But if you have been in a good university, such as UBI, you may not have the specific knowledge, but you will have the reasoning to get there. That is the fact. In technical, I had two teachers that did mark me a lot. One of them that got, he has had a party in technical a couple of years ago. He's working in the States. His name is Fonseca de Moura, and he was taught systems theory. Systems theory is pure mathematicals. It can be applied to cars in a motorway in order not to have jams, to water in pipes, whatever. It's mathematical procedure. And these classes were 3 hours long, no breaks, 3 hours long of pure mathematics. And this chap would walk into the class with no paper in his hand, no book, nothing. He would arrive, he was at the time, what, in his 30s, 32, something like that, years old. And he started speaking and writing on the board. But I can tell you, when the class was over, I said, what? Already over 3 hours? It seems like 15 minutes. Because he made things so simple, that it was an absolutely fabulous teacher. That is the thing. The other one, also known in technical, was Abreu Faro. One of the main equations of electronic engineering is the Maxwell equations. And he was deriving Maxwell equations in a very large auditorium filled with students. And he was writing on the board. He was already a, 60-year-old man, something like that, always very well dressed. And somebody in the back said, oh, professor, it is so difficult. He turned around, faced the crowd, faced the public, and said, there are no difficult or easy things. What there is are things you know and things you don't know. And then he turned back to the board again and went on. So this is a fact. There are no difficult things in this world. There are things that we don't know about. So they seem difficult, but once you know about them, everything gets very, very easy. In my time in Technico, and we are talking about the 70s, they had this IBM computer, punched card computer. I don't know if you ever met punched cards. This is it. So each card was a line of coding. So you didn't write code on the computer, on the display. You wrote the code on the bloody cards. And you managed to put the cards near the input of the computer, and every 30 minutes somebody would collect them and run the program, whatever program you wrote. And it was a pain in the neck, because if you missed a comma in one of your cards, the program would run because there was a comma missing on the programming. So you would have to wait half an hour to say, oh, God, there is a comma missing. You went to punch new cards. Back again, you would have to wait after those 30 minutes for the other our collection, and there would go. So I spent most of my August holiday months is in Computer of Technica, which was not mandatory. No, a lot of people just used the calculators, but I wanted to know how was it like, and it was a very, very good experience. One of my proudest moments was I went to IBM in Lisbon, bought a magnetic tape. And the magnetic tape, because I had a lot of, routines, things like that, in order to avoid always carrying the cards, I recorded them in the magnetic tape. And I was so very proud of the first thing the program was told them, the employees running the computer was, please mount this tape. And I felt a big programmer by then. So, carrying on. After Technico, so as soon as I got out, I went to a company that was selling telecoms equipment for NATO, for the Portuguese Navy, blah, blah, blah. And that eventually was an embarrassment because I was, 23 years old. And my favorite disciplines in Technic was telecommunications, shortwave, actually. And shortwave it's a nasty piece of science because you send signals from transmitting antenna to receiving antenna, as you see in the images. But those signals can have different paths, and you have to allow for all of them in order that they don't cancel each other, blah, blah, blah. So the Navy put out a tender for 10 times 10 kilowatt transmitters to be installed in Monsanto, but they said, but you need to prove us that your calculations are correct in order to guarantee a certain strength of signal, in Timor and other parts of the world. So that was my bitch. So, and we did quote the transmitters from an English manufacturer, Marconi, but the study was mine. And in the meetings, I was the youngest of them all. So I was sitting at the table with the blokes of the Marconi factory in England, all 50-year-old people. I was sitting with the experts of the Navy. And I was 23. Most of them would look at me, what is this guy doing here? Well, I was presenting the study. And the study, I felt very proud because after the transmitters were installed and they were in tests, my study did prove that the accuracy of predictions was correct, but it is a nasty business. And there are a lot of mysteries. For instance, I'll tell you one. These transmitters had to be earth, a cable from the transmitter to the earth, to a copper rod put on the soil. But I was doing that installation with some of our technicians before the English expert arrived, and we could not make the transmitter running. It wouldn't run. So, God, but why doesn't it run? Because the cable was thick, more than enough to do that. And when the bloke arrived, he looked at our cable and he laughed. He laughed and he presented one of those strip copper cables, so it's not round one, a strip, very flat. He connected to the transmitter and then he connected to the earthing system, and everything started working like magic. And I said, but we were connecting copper cable, a round copper cable. Why this only connects with a flat one? And he said, well, John, to be honest, I really don't know. I think there are a lot of technical studies around this, but I know that this works. So eventually, even in engineering, you sometimes face strange things. Worse than not knowing why something is not running, worse than that, is not understanding why something is running well. It also happens. So, and you have to have an open mind for this. Another area where I did intervene nationally in the country was optical fibers, because in the beginnings of the 80s, the optical fibers were arriving to Portugal. So there was this big training in Aveiro, University in Aveiro, for all the expert of the post office, the satellite communications company, the military, and I convinced my boss, because the training was very expensive, to pay for me going to the same training. Because I imagine, well, if they are going to optical fibers, they will need to buy equipment. So how do you buy equipment for a bloke you don't trust? You don't technically trust to be selling equipment. So this argument did convince my boss. He paid my going to Aveiro University for a week, where I was every day learning with the big experts in Portugal. At the end of the day, we managed to bring to Portugal, being the representatives of this machine there, that this is a new one, Fujikura, that was for splicing optical fibers. Splicing is putting together two optical fibers, soldering them, so to speak. Still today, that Fujikura brand is the standard in Portugal for splicing optical fibers, still today. And the big advantage I had, big advantage, when I went to the meeting with them, convincing them of this or that, they would not argue my knowledge because they saw me with them getting the same education, if you want. So we must always have open mind in order to learn the most we can. So, next one. If I'm going too fast, please tell me.
Okay.
Because I can't say I like to hear myself, but I always find at the time of speaking that new things come to my mind. Now, so after telecoms and optical fibers, in the company I start also wanting to sell video equipment. Video equipment I never sold to RTP because RTP was government, and government is still today. It's a mess to answer public tenders, blah blah blah. So I always dedicated myself to private companies. And there were a lot of private companies editing video. EDP, you remember the first soap opera in the Portuguese television was made by EDP, and all their equipment was sold by me. So I was selling video equipment, audio equipment, and I've tried several times to sell to Radio Renascença, which is a very, very famous and old Portuguese audio broadcast station. Never got lucky. They were always very nice, but they were always out of money. So I went there every now and then, but never made business with them. One day, in my office, we received a tender from Radio Renascença for video equipment. Surprise, surprise. And they said, we want 10 cameras, we want 10 recorders, we want lighting equipment, we want microphones, just like that. And I sent them a letter saying, I'm very sorry, we cannot quote, we cannot answer your tender because your tender does not make sense. When you ask for cameras, I need to know, is it broadcast cameras? Is it industrial cameras? Is it cameras for training? I need to know a lot of things. So I'm very sorry, we cannot quote. Okay, that was it. 15 days later, I got a call from the secretary of the president of Radio Renascença. Magalhães Crespi, engineer Magalhães Crespi, passed away this year, the beginning of the year. A fabulous man. And she asked me, Engineer Magalhães Crespi would like to have lunch with you. Can you do this day, next week or whatever? I said, yes. And so she told me to, okay, at 1 o'clock at the time it was the Alpha Hotel near the zoo. Now it's called the Corinthia Hotel. Okay, I went there and no clue what you wanted. So I knew him by face, by looking in, but we never spoke anyway. So we went there, we sat, and one of the characteristics of a Magalhães Crespo, he wouldn't waste time, pushing the bush, just go straight to the point. And he said, look, Penha Lopes, I have my office filled with proposals for equipment that, being in Portuguese or Chinese, is the same for me. And I have all my corridors filled with manuals and catalogs, meaningless to me. The only clever answer I got was yours. Do you want to be the technical director of TVI? Just like that. And just like that, I said yes. I had no clue where to start, but I was not going to tell him that, was I? So I said, yes, of course, we'll do that. No problem. And we did very good. So I quit the place where I was selling video equipment because it was a conflict of interests, of course. And I went to a space Renaissance has rented for me to work, for me and for my right-hand arm. I got the technical director of EDIPIM at the time, and we went both there. So what you need to work, they asked. We need good computers, which were bloody expensive at the time, and we need an A0 plotter. An A0 is the standard, it's the largest piece of paper, and the plotter is, to automatically draw circuits, spaces, etc., etc. So I had to learn how to work with CAD also, and this is why I always use, still today, the mouse I use in my left hand, although I am right-handed. Why do I use the mouse in the left hand? Everybody, gets very confused. Because if you are working with CAD, the drawings, you need to point the mouse and at the same time, punch the keyboard. So if I was only using the right hand, I had to leave the mouse, go to the keyboard and back to the mouse. If I trained my left hand to use the mouse, everything could be done basically at the same time. So we were two of us doing all the drawings. Eventually, Henry was the other bloke. I was handling the potential suppliers and types of equipment, etc., and he was drawing how to install things in order to make sure that the things would fit down to the millimeter. Actually, the first outside broadcast vans, the vans that go outside with cameras, blah, 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 they were built by us. We just bought from Renault the structure, and everything inside was put by us, also based on CAD. There was this fight, because we are talking now in the TVI went on air on 1993, so we are talking about 1991. First question, do we go digital or analog? First question. Because SICK, for instance, SIC, hired Sony and they've installed an analog studio, full analog studio. But I decided to go digital. And then you ask, but was there digital at the time for, digital video, digital audio? And I said, well, yes and no. Basically, there was no manufacturer that would have all the digital components needed for a station, period. But if you know where to buy stuff, the small manufacturers, you can buy the digital bits and then glue them together. We did that with the exception of the cameras, because there were no camera manufacturer that would do digital cameras, only analog. And at the time, the recorders, also tape recorders. So what did we do? As soon as the signal comes out of the camera, the analog signal was immediately converted into digital by components. That's specific. We have red, green, and blue. Those are the components. So if you digitize that, all the remaining of the station, the switchboard, everything were digital. And when the signal arrived to the tape recorders, because they had to be analog, the digital was converted into analog. So everything was absolutely ready. When the first cameras would come for digital or the recorders, it was just take one out and put the other in. All the station would be in digital. But there was a lot of pressure on the board by the main brands because they wanted to sell to TVI. And the main brands approached the directors of the board saying, ooh, you should go, Bosch, Sony, etc. So you should go analog. It's very, very risky to go digital at this point in time. So I had Magalhães Crespo calling me and said, Penha Lopes, digital or analógico? Oh, Sr. Engenheiro. Digital or analog? And I said, oh, Mr. Magalhães Crespo, you know me. If I can, it will be digital. Okay, digital it is. So he faced the remaining of the board of directors protecting my back. And we went digital with great success. Actually, as far as I know, we were by far the first station in Europe that only commuted digital signals. And it was, well, a bit embarrassing because I left years after because, there was nothing new to do. And the bloke that replaced me as a technical director, after 6 months, they got an Emmy for the technical part of the station. So virtually, I may say, and I tell my wife, I got an Emmy, although I don't have it in the house. Now, having said this, there is a particular note I like to call your attention to, because sometimes things get very nasty. One day I'm called in the TVI and said, boss, they always call me boss. We have a problem with the sync signal that is not arriving to that particular post-production room. The sync signal is the signal that makes sure that everything talks at the same time. I said, no. I said, I thought, well, the sync signal goes here, goes there. Must be this box, There was a rack filled with boards of sync signals. And so replace the board. So they went to the storage room, brought another board, and they replaced it. The problem is still there. The problem is still there. Jesus Christ. So I thought. I said, no, the only place it can be wrong is here. Replace again. So they went to get the second board. They replaced the second board. The problem was still there. Well, to make a long story short, we had 6 faulty boards in the bloody maintenance room. But it was definitely there that they should be replaced. So at the end of the day, we got a board from another rack, and that board worked. So this to say that sometimes there is no artificial intelligence to replace you here. You have to think. And as Sherlock Holmes said, consider how improbable it might be, consider whatever is left, and the problem would have to be there. By the way, you will ask, how did you hire your technicians? That was another big fight with the board of directors. They wanted me to go to the RTP, so the public television, and hire people there. No way, I said, no way. I want people trained by me. I don't want people filled with vices coming from the public television. So I had my back covered by Magalhães Crespo once again. And basically we start hiring first jobs, kids. On their 23s, 24s, 25s, boys and girls. I can't say that we have hired the same percentage of girls as boys. No, we hired 30%, because if you have equal shares, probably you will have a lot of friction. It went marvelous. And do you know how we hired them? It was a very interesting concept that I have never found since. I never had an office of myself. I like to work in open spaces with people around me. So the technical department, or the managers of the technical department were in a big open space. I was on the corner away from the door, and we had a ferocious secretary by the door so that people will not just get in. So eventually we had there the manager of the lighting, the manager of the cameras, the manager here, there, whatever. So when they applied I would like to be an electrician, to work with lights or with sound or whatever, they were taken care of by the manager. And if the manager saw that they were fit to the job, he would come, the manager and the appliant, to near me, my desk, and they would tell me, "Look, boss, this Mr. Smith wants to work here as an electrician or a camera operator, whatever." So I asked always the person to sit, and I asked him, "But how much money is your expectation?" And they would say, for instance, 100,000 escudos. At the time it was escudos, but it doesn't matter for this analysis. 100,000 escudos. God, I would say, but that's a lot of money. Do you realize you are starting your professional life in a brand new television, blah, 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 blah. So eventually he would agree to stay for 80,000 escudos instead of the 100,000. And I asked, "But are you sure you are happy with the 80,000? I mean, I don't want you working here, with the arm behind your back, doing a sacrifice. Because no, I'm okay with the 80,000. I understood your arguments, blah, blah." And then I would say, "I will give you 120,000 escudos for your work." So after he agreed to diminish to his salary, I would always offer just more than he asked for in the first place. I had there fighters for the technical department forever. And I never regret it, never. The average age of the technical direction with 140 people was 25 years old. Never regretted that decision. So, carry on. Conquest is everything, possession is nothing. This is so true. So when TVI was in its cruise speed, well, that was a bit kind of boring for me. And I decided I will go to new challenges. In TVI, I had to draw processes for working together from the technical department to the programming department, information, marketing, etc. So I got this I fancied drawing processes. So I decided to make a PhD. This PhD was in my 50s already in Madrid, with a thesis called "The Economic Benefits of Electronic Document Management." And it is very important to have an excellent tutor in your PhD. I was not such lucky. It was no good. He was a bloke that was in charge of the archives of a municipality around Madrid, and for some reason he was connected to the university. I think I could have done much better, but okay, we have to obey the tutor. So today in Clever Time, I automate businesses and take out, actually the name of Clever Time was interesting because when I started the company had an engineering name. Reengenharia de Processos and Software, process engineering software. Nobody would ever understand that. So I hired this small marketing company, 2 nice girls there, very, very efficient. And I put them my problem. And I said, "Look, people do not understand what I do by the name. And what do you do? I do this, blah, 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 blah." So they asked to come with me to 2 meetings with customers or potential customers and provide them with our bids and our whatever we had. And they said, well, okay, come in 15 days, because in 15 days we'll have 2 or 3 names for you to choose from. Okay. I went there 15 days later and I said, I'm sorry for what? I asked. We only have 1 name for your company. Yes, just 1? Yes, Clever Time. Because what you sell is clever time, since you get rid of all the dead time of the companies. So that time took up to today, and this is why company is called Clever Time. The haha moment. The haha moment is that education is not the content of what you learn. It is the basic skill of learning that is education. Because, you know, a computer engineer learns this language A, or A and B, but in 3 years' time, those languages are not there, are obsolete. So you have to learn new ones. It's the skill of learning that makes your education. Because if you are stuck with just the content of what you learn, you finished. I keep telling my sons that since they were very young, and now, thank God, they are successful young adults, in the near future, and we are living that near future now, 99% of the people will work for whatever salary they are offered. And if they complain, there are already other people ready to do exactly the same for half the price. So the other 1% are those really educated that can decide where they want to work and can decide how much money they want to get as salary. But if you are not educated, finished. So, executing brainware. Brainware, you say? What is brainware? This guy is nuts. I have pictures of brainware working there, as you see. Very flashy, very good. And the interesting thing about brainware is that hardware becomes obsolete. Software becomes obsolete. But brainware will cash interest to you until you die. So it never misses. You can't go wrong with brainware. So this is the change of the paradigm today. The hardware is the physical bit, you know, your servers, your gateways, your whatever. Then the software, the logical things. Oh, the software does your accounting, does the CAD, your drawings, absolutely marvelous. Yes, but neither of this will work well if you don't use the brainware, which is the strategic bit of your purpose in life, your professional purpose. Let's connect brainware to today's buzzwords. Artificial intelligence, smartphones. Oh, yes, why do I need this? I have a smartphone. My smartphone is connected to ChatGPT, is connected to Gemini. So what? Everything, the software does it all. Very good. Let's assume that you, in the left picture, you digitize zillions of documents and you have everything digitized. Okay. But you have to classify those documents because the documents are different. What metadata fields must you create to classify those documents? The software will not tell you. What workflows do each of these documents start automatically? Because if it is an invoice, it will start an approval process. If it is a contract, we'll start eventually a process of approval of the contract of digital signatures. And each of these documents are related to What are the documents? Because an invoice may be related to an order, a purchase order, may be related to a delivery note, may be related to a contract that allows for this invoice to exist. The software will not know that. The hardware less. The only way of knowing that is using your brainware. More in the flow, in the processing flow, approvals flow, invoice approval flow. Who can access? What steps? What are the business rules? How can anybody approve or not approve an invoice? So just having the software is not enough. You need to think how to work with that software. And that is not taught by previous documents or artificial intelligence. Say when a document needs to be signed, you will say, oh, but it's very easy. Look, I can sign on my smartphone. It's 5 seconds. Who cares? It's that easy. Yes. When must the documents be sent to signature? When are they ready to get signatures? What do you do when the document is approved and signed? Where does it go? Does it need to go anywhere? How many signatures must you have for each involved entity in the business? Probably in a company there must have 2 signatures. Which ones? And in the other company, 3 signatures. So just having the hardware, the smartphone, and the software, the digital signature software to sign the document is barely not enough at all. You need to know how to process all this. And for that, you need brainware. It's not just, oh, I don't care because everything is working for me. So there are a lot of stuff you must think about before you can really use well your software and your hardware. And the devil is in the details. The devil is in the details. And if you have people that want to just automate a bad process, the automation will be much worse than just using paper and pen. I tell this to potential customers. If you want to do that your way, forget us. You keep working with sheets of paper and pen. Because a typical one that always happens to me in the company. Happens to me because in the company, I'm the CEO, but I'm also the person responsible for the initial consultancy of the potential customer, what he needs to do, drawing the flows, blah, blah, blah. So, you must have a standard procedure for invoice approval because invoice approval is the same everywhere. Wrong. I'm doing this for 30 years. I do not have 2 invoice approval workflows that look like something similar to each other. It's unbelievable. One company that is now our customer said, we have a very simple workflow procedure, need the simple processes to approve invoices from our suppliers. Oh, yes? At the end of the day, something that they would say, it's very easy. It's a transportation company that subcontracts other companies to transport their products. They have, 150 subcontractors. And those subcontractors, they are divided in groups of 20. And for each one of those groups, the workflow is bloody different. Jesus, the first thing we must do when running that workflow is analyzing the fiscal number to see where it goes for which workflow. It is a nightmare. We have ridiculous things that they ask us. For instance, we have been asked the following. When an invoice arrives to our company, that invoice data must be immediately sent to the ERP system. The ERP is the accounting system. Okay. And then it continued, even if that invoice arrived to us erroneously and it's not for us, it was a mistake, but they still want them. It's unbelievable. It is unbelievable. So real life, as I said in the beginning, has nothing to do with your planned life. Now, nothing is of interest unless it brings benefits. This is interesting. Let's analyze. So, I don't know whether you know the difference between characteristic, advantage, and benefit. Characteristic, I have an engine, 700 horsepower. You are selling this engine. So you know everything about the engine, you know all the details on the parts, everything. This is the feature. So you tell the potential customer, oh, so one advantage of this feature is that you can run in a car at 300 kilometers an hour. Jesus, and look, the software will put everything in your display, you know, the speed, the acceleration, how much gasoline you are using, blah, blah, blah. So you are really enthusiastic talking about this, but benefit is zero because you are talking to me and I get my living selling cabbages at the local fair. So the feature is good, the advantages are fantastic, zero benefit. Who cares? For me, it doesn't matter. So what is the lesson to come from this? Before start talking about what you have, please just listen. What is the real need of the potential customer? And in here, it doesn't matter the hardware, it doesn't matter the software, it just matters brainware. Because once you understand what the bloke needs, then your brainware will conduct you to the correct hardware and the correct software. So, you know, we are going in circles eventually. The most valuable skill is this cycle. Learn and relearn again. As they say, there are two situations in life that you always benefit, so you never lose. The situation that makes you happy. Oh, I'm so happy I sold this, I sold that, I made this project. And the situation where you learn because things did not went as you expected they would. So, but if you are strong enough, you benefit from both. Absolutely. But never think that what you learn is forever. It's a mistake. It's a serious mistake. So, brainware daily and time again. It's not about technology. It's about how we think about technology. Again, the university is the perfect place for you to learn how to think about things. This is why in university, you should eventually even challenge your teachers with proposed works to be presented to the class, proposed investigations, whatever. Because in real life, it is the ability of analyzing, questioning. Question is very important. A lot of people find me a bit awkward because I keep asking, but why do you do that? Why do you do it that way? Not in another way. And because if I don't ask whys, I cannot reformulate my thinking. So, you know, that drill, that drawing, that there is this bloke on a hole. He has a problem. He only sees the hole where he's stuck in. And we professionals are up there on the ground and we are looking down, but we also see everything around us. And if you are not careful enough, you fall into the hole and then you are stuck. You only see the problem. You don't see possible solutions. And these two images that I have there are not innocent. A lot of people say, oh, yes, we need to go and program this, program that. Forget the programming. What you need to know, what you need to do when you have a good idea or a potential good idea is get a paper napkin and draw your idea in the paper napkin, discuss with somebody else. If that idea turns up to be, oh, this has legs to walk, yes, this looks nice, then you go to the software and you start doing things. But you have to use brainware first. Now, for a bit of fun, what is the greatest enemy of education? The greatest enemy. And people will say, well, ignorance is the great. No. Wrong. The greatest enemy of ignorance is the illusion of knowledge, about which we will see a 5-second video. Education is the ability to learn what you still don't know, because if you don't have this ability, you keep not knowing. And we have 2 types of customers at the company, my company. Those which some of them are big companies, and we go there for the first time, and they say to us, okay, Penha Lopes, we will acquire your solution, but you've got to help us because we understand we know nothing about this. So your inputs are very valuable because you are in this for many years. That is ignorance and absolutely is not enemy of education. But we have other customers that say, well, you are doing this way, I think you should do that way. But I said, but that way has this problem. Oh, but I think so because my son he programs and he says this and this. That's the illusion of knowledge. Very, very dangerous. Let's see the movie. I always laugh watching this movie. So it's easy to understand that the illusion of knowledge is on the bloke. This bloke here. He really thinks he knows it all. This is the danger. So, having said this, let's move on. Are you there still, or fall asleep, or still there with me?
Yes.
Ah, good. Now, beware of appearances. Appearances are very disappointing sometimes. So you look at the left and say, oh, these guys are very good, they even have a lift. I can use the lift. But when the door opens, there's stairs on the other side. So a lot of solutions are offered as if they were very, very good. But at the end of the day, it's just like everything else. Do you see my mouth if I put my mouth in here? Do you see? Hello?
Hello, yeah.
Ah, good. So I'm going to, this is easy to spot, this call for attention, but this one that I'm going to show you is not as easy. An equation, A plus B equals C. Okay. So I can write the same thing saying 4A minus 3A, it's A, plus 4B minus 3B, it's B, equals 4C minus 3C, it's C. No problem. This is absolutely correct. So let's take out the parentheses. I have 4A minus 3A plus 4B minus 3B, because the signal is there, equals 4C minus 3C. Good? Perfect. Let's go to the next one. In the next one, what I did was putting on the first member of the equation all the factors that have a 4, and on the second member all the factors that have a 3. And probably I will remind you from your math classes, when you change a factor from one member to the other, you change the signal. So 4A plus 4b minus 4c, because this is a plus, when it changes, gets minus, equals 3a. It has a minus signal, gets a plus here, plus 3b, because it was also minus to the other side, minus 3c. So this is perfectly correct. So, because both members, in both members, all the factor here have 4, and on the second member, all the factors have a 3, I will put the 4 and the 3 in evidence, as they say. So, 4a plus 4 times a plus b minus c, it is exactly that result, equals 3 times a plus b minus c. Correct? Very good. And we have all learned that in equations, when you have multiplying factors in both members, and there is one factor that is common in both, you can cut that factor out. So if we cut out a plus b minus c, we get the result 4 equals 3. Isn't that nice? And there isn't any error up to here, in here. So how come I came to the conclusion that 4 equals 3? It is something for you to think with your brainware. Professor Monica will give you this presentation anyway, so there is no problem. Now, automation and the future of work. So people are very scared about automation replacing persons. No. Automation replaces tasks with non-added value. That's it. So the human being is supposed to be creative, strategic, empathetic. The empathetic is you need to know how to talk with people. It's not necessarily only how to know how to do things. You need to make those things very simple, like the teacher I spoke about, 3 hours about mathematics and everything seemed like 10 minutes. So, but in order to do that, you need to be an educated professional. Educated in the sense that you know how to learn. What about learning beyond engineering? Because you said, okay, Mr. Penha Lopes, it's very good. So you learned a lot in engineering. What about outside engineering? Is that good for your personal life? Well, I think so. My wife took this picture of me. But relax, I was not arrested by the police. This was a museum. But there is always things on the professional life. From the movie Nemo, if you know the movie Nemo, there is this girl fish that keeps telling Nemo, just keep swimming. So when you have problems, just keep swimming, keep swimming. So in your professional or personal life, you face a problem, don't stop. Keep swimming, go at it. There isn't nothing that won't fit your head. Nothing. One of the things I learned in technical, we did not. This is a slide rule to calculate very complex movement accounts. And this slide, the middle, there is this middle section that comes out in order to align the numbers, and we have this cursor. And these slide rules may do complex accounts like this one you see here, only with the slide rule. The difficult bit is not how to make a multiplication on the slide rule or make a square root. That is not difficult. What is difficult, very difficult, is to know what calculations you must do first than others in order not to lose the 3-digit decimal that the slide rules allow. Because if you do a calculation by calculation or operation by operation, you lose precision. So although it was not in my time of technique, it was the time before, I bought a collection of sophisticated slide rules, and I learned how to use them, and this is the very difficult bit. What account should I do first in order not to be to reset the slide rule, as they say, and put a number in the paper and start again. This is the bit. As well, this is an abacus. It's a very simple slide rule, but in today, the Japanese managers are required to take abacus training courses because it makes your head work very fast. For somebody that does accounting in abacus or a calculator, simple accounts like multiplying, dividing, etc., it is quicker with the abacus than with a calculator. So this is one of the things that may be of interest to you. Another thing of learning, education, as I speak English, French, and Spanish. Well, there is no such thing as Spanish. I speak Castellano as the day-to-day life. And I learn sort of Arabic, Russian, and Swedish because I went into this into these schools online, but they are not great actually. So although in Arabic, my wife was very surprised because I could read. I could not understand what I was reading, but at least I could read, as well as Russian and Swedish. But the way they thought it was not interesting. Now I'm learning and decided I'd learn up to the end Japanese. But now I decided to learn with artificial intelligence. So I have Gemini as my trainer. And every day every day that I can, we have a class. He gives me homework. I do the homework. He corrects, gives me the next section. And I'm very happy with it. Actually, since last Thursday, I'm not doing the homework. So after we finish here, I have to do that. I learned piano. Actually, my son learned piano also. He was using an app in his smartphone. And the app was showing for the different musics, classical musics. He loves classical music, where to put the fingers, where to touch, etc. I decided I would go by the engineering method, by manuals. So by manuals, I mean music sheets. So I studied music sheets, and once a week I went to this teacher of a music school near my house and show him what I learned. And at the end of the day, he said, okay, you understand perfectly the sheet. You place your fingers in the correct places. You know the speeds, etc. is perfect. Now you just need to train 3 or 4 hours a day. That killed it. I don't have 3 or 4 hours a day. But this is to show you that even that absolutely no musician at all, we can do things that we would not think of doing. Why? Because we know how to learn things. The yacht master is I can be the captain of any non-commercial vessel, sails or motor, any size, any power, anywhere in the world, because I decided years back to take the training for this. It was almost 2 years, but I got there. So you must become a T-shaped professional. So the vertical bar is your expertise, your PhD, your major, whatever. Your horizontal bar is the ability to connect. So unless you can explain to your grandmother what you're doing and she understands, you're not good enough at it. So there are special exceptions to this, very theoretical mathematics or physics. Okay, but a day-to-day life, I speak for myself, engineering, I don't have those problems. So it is very good to be able to communicate. I must tell you, I was scared. I was going to use a bad word, but the lady is present. I was scared to death of speaking in public. And how did I manage this? I was in TVI, and TVI was the first European television that were broadcasting in 16:9, this format of display, 16:9. And the European Commission was pressing other televisions to do the same. So one day, Roberto Carneiro, who was the president of TVI at the time, came to me and said, look, I have there this bloke from European Commission. he wants to talk about you concerning the 16:9 display. I said, yes, but I will not talk in public. No, he just wants to talk to you. Okay, so I went to his office, and this bloke said, we are going to do a formal conference in Brussels, where we will have a panel of several engineers dealing with the issue. We would like you to be present. I said, I'm sorry, I will send you another engineer. I don't talk in public. Oh, but you don't need to talk in public. You will just be the moderator. So we'll sit at the corner of the table. We'll introduce the other blokes that are going to talk. Are you sure about that? Yes. Okay, I believe the man. Oh, God, oh, good. So I went to Brussels the day of the conference. Yes, there was this table with 6 or 7 people to my right. I was in the corner. I was very happy. I would be the moderator. But this auditorium had what? 500 people in front of me, packed full. All of them experts in the subject. So this guy comes along and says, well, we are going to start this conference, and I'm inviting Mr. Penha Lopes to talk about what he has done in TVI. I had nothing prepared, nothing, not PowerPoints, not notes on paper, nothing. I assumed I was just introducing the others. You know what it is? Trying to talk and pushing the words out of your mouth with your tongue. That was me. God. But on the good side, if tomorrow I need to go to the United Nations and talk to all those blokes, I have no problem. That was my vaccine. So I also keep myself entertained with something I like a lot. Encryption. So I devised an encryption concept. These 2 sentences you see here, these 2 blocks of code, reflects this string UBI is the greatest, dot. And if you look carefully, they are totally different from each other, but the decryption program will decrypt either of them exactly with the same sentence, UBI is the greatest. So I shared my concept with Gemini, my good friend of artificial intelligence. He said, well, but this is a very new concept. You got the yes, I like that. So I keep myself entertained with these kind of things. So what is my challenge to you, the students? You know, UBI values innovation and social impact. Your education at UBI is your toolkit, but the toolkit allows you to be the builder. If you don't want to be the builder, it means nothing. So don't just get a degree. Take your time to learn how to think, because when you leave university, oh God, things will not be linear. And the most thing of all, the most interesting thing is being curious. God, why is this working like that? How doesn't this work? Like, you know, the problem I had with the sync board, that I had a lot of them faulty. So being curious will take you anywhere. We are almost arriving to the end. And at the end, I say there is a whole new world that's just waiting to be astonished by you, astonished by what you can do, and the whole world would not believe that would be possible. This is also a 5-second video. Do pay attention. See, he did I repeat, the dog did something absolutely impossible, apparently impossible to do, but he did it. And the audience was astonished. That's it. So, there we are. Thank you very much for your patience. I haven't sent this doll to Professor Monica to distribute there personally, but eventually in the future, so that you can remember me. This is it. Okay.
Thank you so much for your brilliant presentation. Agora, uma breve nota em português para quem é do Brasil e de Moçambique e não acompanha muito bem. Professor, corrija-me em português. O professor começou a falar um bocadinho sobre a sua carreira enquanto engenheiro formado no Instituto Superior Técnico. Devemos ao professor João Penha Lopes o facto de hoje termos a televisão digital em Portugal. Ele foi pioneiro e por isso ganhou muito cedo o título de engenheiro sênior em Portugal. Tem inúmeros trabalhos realizados em todo o mundo como engenheiro. E ele começou a falar um pouco sobre a sua carreira no técnico, ele depois faz um parênteses, ou seja, o técnico não me ensinou a transformar televisões analógicas em digitais, mas preparou-me para resolver problemas complexos, e é nessa assistência para resolver problemas complexos que eu aceitei esse desafio. Depois ele discute o conceito de brainware, onde ele diz que o brainware resume na capacidade que nós temos de aprender, desaprender para reaprender novamente. Ele depois chama-nos a atenção sobre a questão da máquina, ou seja, como a IA pode ensinar-nos, tornar-nos a vida mais fácil. O professor fala uma frase que é a IA, ou seja, a Artificial Intelligence, ela vem tornar o ser humano mais livre, ou seja, livre das atividades robóticas, repetitivas e que não acrescentam valor. E pronto. E depois termina, no fim da sua apresentação, chamando-nos um convite para aproveitar o nosso tempo na faculdade, seja na Universidade da Beira Interior, seja na Escola Superior de Gestão Corporativa e Social de Moçambique, ou na Universidade Federal da Bahia, que é aproveitar esse tempo não para ter um grau, mas sim para aprender a pensar. Professor, belíssima exposição, bem-aja, thank you so much. I would like to invite Professor Lourenço. I don't know if he is in this webinar. If not, I would like to invite my student, Darima. She is from Russia, and she is my student in Introduction to Portuguese Society, and she will be the moderator of the open discussion. Eu gostava de, também deixar aberta a discussão a Moçambique, Brasil e Portugal. Quem tiver questões, podem apresentá-las, quer em português, quer em inglês. For English, we have Darima here, and for Portuguese, we have Elton in Mozambique. Thank you so much, Professor.
Thank you, Professor Monica. I must warn everybody, that I have here with me a personal assistant to handle all the difficult questions. And I will introduce you to my personal assistant. One moment, please. One moment.
Oh my gosh.
There we are. So if you do difficult questions, I let him come in and talk to you personally. Okay, let's go back.
I have some questions I can write them down? Yes. Okay.
Hello, Professor. Thank you so much for your presentation. It's such an important topic, and thank you for sharing your personal experience. It's very interesting. Let's open the discussion. If any of the students have any questions.
Here, any questions? Complex questions, please. Alexandra. Barbara, you have okay, come in, please. Complex question, please.
Hello, Professor. I'm Barbara. I have a question about, you talked a little bit about AI. So I wanted to know what are the limits that we should put in AI in schools and in learning so that it doesn't diminish the learning and our, like the students' possibility to learn like themselves, you know, like the autonomy of the students.
I don't understand the question. You want AI to do what?
I was thinking more of what are the limitations that AI should have when we talk about students, you know, when learning process. Like,
I will give you my own experience with AI, and I must confess I've tried ChatGPT. I didn't like, went crazy a lot of times. So I use Gemini from Google. But even using Gemini is very good. The secret of you getting results from AI is how you do the question. That is a secret. I must confess that I consult AI for a number of subjects, but before I spend at least half an hour writing the context where it should work. And the context starts, for instance, you know, every time you open a chat, you need to know, you need to say who you are. So I am this bloke, I have this studies, technical, PhD, blah, 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 so that he can understand what I do. I also give him the link of the company so that he can go there and read. And then for the specific question, I must write down exactly what I want him to look at. If I can, I provide links where he can get the basics of the problem I am putting to him. And in the future, all conversations or questions related to that subject are kept in the same chat. And how do I do that? I keep a record of the URL link of the chat so that when I need to ask something more about that, I'll go there. For instance, I have to have a different food regime because in order not to have problems with my kidneys within 6 or 7 years. So I open a chat with him. All the analysis I get, they go there. He analyzes and is comparing with what the doctor says, very similar, absolutely, almost identical. And every time I ask, can I eat this kind of thing? Can I eat that kind of thing? He makes an analysis based also in the previous conversation of that chat, and he provides me with an answer. So getting good results from AI, you can get good results in any kind of subject, but you need to be very, very, very specific about your own context and the subject context. And you should not open different chats concerning the same subject, because in different chats he does not have memory what he have told you in the other chat. So that is my advice. Otherwise, it's perfect.
I was also wondering more like when does using the AI stop being helpful and it becomes like a prejudice to our learning process, you know?
The other day I had an interesting discussion with my son. My youngest son, it's also an engineer from Instituto Superior Técnico. He has been now in Web Summit because Técnico has this very sophisticated robot and is writing all the software for this robot. And he has the opinion that an article, for instance, I publish articles, that was made with the help, the writing help at least, of AI, I cannot say it is mine. I disagree fully. Because, okay, before the AI, we had encyclopedias, didn't we? So if I do an article based on an encyclopedia, can I say it's not my article, the encyclopedia's art? Even Newton said, I arrived where I arrived because I was mounted on the shoulders of giants. So he based his own work on previous work. AI is like using Word for writing. It's like using an assistant. You tell exactly what you need to be written, and he writes it. So I have no fuss with that. But it is a prejudice to think that AI is not real, or AI is it's fake. Oh, you are faking your results. No, it's a tool like any other. Otherwise, we would not be using computers to do things, isn't it? I can automate my Word, my Outlook to send 10 emails a day, avoiding my work of writing the emails and sending one by one. Didn't I do that? I think so. I think I did. But there are a lot of different opinions on that. Our people, the Portuguese people, is very illiterate on even young blokes, very illiterate on technologies. And eventually, the other day, I read an article saying that most young kids know about social networks, but period. My wife is a teacher. And she got yesterday an email for a student with a text. And the text were all placed on the subject field of the email. The subject field. The student had no clue how to build an email, but they spend there all day long writing on the social networks. It's amazing. It's frightening. So there are lots of prejudices, yes.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome. If you know the numbers of Euro Millions for next week, tell me, please.
Daria, a question. Okay, go on. You are the moderation and
I also have a question connected to AI. Since AI now is taking many jobs from the job market, especially in the field of design or translation, what about education process? Is there a risk?
What about what? Your microphone, the microphone there is very bad. I have great difficulty in listening.
Do you hear me now?
Yes, better.
Okay. I also had a question connected to AI. Since AI now is taking many jobs from job market, like especially in the field of design, of translation, what about education? Is there a risk? I would like to know your opinion if there is a risk for professors or for teachers to AI take over also in this field?
That is a very good question. I see AI as a very good tool for education, but education in the sense of content of knowledge. AI can produce a full class talking about this specific subject, but education goes much further than that. Education means a teacher in the class that knows the reality context of each of these students and somehow build bridges between what has been taught as content and the reality of that particular student, but not even if it's not student, the reality of the city where the university is, the country, whatever. That AI can't do. So AI is very good providing content. Yes, this is done like this. I will teach you how to speak Japanese. I will teach you how to solve mathematical equations, blah, blah, blah. But the real skill of learning and applying to the different contexts, it's the ability of the teacher. And for instance, from class to class, the AI cannot know what level the pupils are. So they teach, period. A good teacher knows the level of the pupils, what might interest them most, and then teaches based on those interests and those levels. AI is very good. It's like a video projector in the class. Will a video projector help the teacher? Yes. Will it replace the teacher? No.
Thank you.
Please read all messages in English and Barbara can read in Portuguese.
But there's only, I wrote the question.
No,
Barbara,
after, yeah.
oh,
Yes.
just read the messages.
Yes. Can you read? And in Portuguese, Barbara do it.
Excellent work by the esteemed professor Dr.
João Penha
Lopes.
Lopes.
The era of continuous real-time connectivity through smartphonization of smartphone globalization. The professor is absolutely correct. First, we analyze the idea, and then we apply brain awareness. Education is fundamentally about learning skills we do not yet possess. It's the process of expanding our capabilities beyond what we already know. I would like to know from the esteemed
Professor Lopes.
Professor Lopes, how we can achieve autonomous education given that we have seen the expansion of HTTP text in secondary schools in Mozambique, and how we can prevent this from happening.
Oh, a moment, Professor. This is a question for you. Can you read very slowly, please? The last one.
Okay.
Yes.
I would like to know from the esteemed Dr.
Lopes.
How we can achieve autonomous education given that we have seen the passing of HTTP text in secondary school in Mozambique, and how we can prevent it from happening.
I didn't understand. Can you copy paste the question to this message board?
Oh, you can read also in the chat, Professor.
No, the last message I have is I would like to congratulate Professor from Elton Henrique.
This is the first one. One of the first one.
One of the first. Let me go.
Darima has copied it now. Can you check, please? It's the last one.
Who wrote the text?
Yes. It's the last one.
Ah, the last one. You just put in here. So the question is, how can we prevent this from happening? This what? The autonomous education?
Yes.
There were some elders.
Yes, the last message. The question.
What is ACP?
The student is asking you how we can achieve autonomous education, and that we have seen the facing of ACP texts in secondary schools in Matola, Mozambique. How we can prevent this from happening?
Ah, I see what you mean. So people are going to AI in order to get texts, and they present the text as their own in the school. Is that correct?
Yes.
Good. my wife did me the same question. So I told my wife this: you let them do whatever research they want with the artificial intelligence, no problem. They can produce a 10-page document written by artificial intelligence, no problem. Then in the class, you call 1 or 2 or 3 of them near the board and say, very good, I loved your text. Please tell me, what do you think are the main areas of interest of your text? Tell me about them. It's not reading, it's telling, speaking. And they will say, oh, I think this area is the most interesting. Oh, really? Why do you think that? So as far as they know, and they understand what they have wrote, and they have the concepts in their heads and are able to talk about them, it's perfect. It's no problem. So the problem is if the teacher only receives the texts and wants just to classify the text. Today you can't do that. You have to classify the student according to what the student really knows. And the only way of doing that is speaking.
Great question. And great answer. Yes.
Is that answer solved as a question? Yes.
Janet, you have a question? Do you have a question? Não sei se há alguma questão de Moçambique ou do Brasil, antes de nós finalizarmos.
Boa tarde a todos. Sim, professora, eu tenho uma dúvida. Primeiro, congratular o professor pela partilha de um tema da atualidade muito importante. E na questão, eu gostava de colocar a minha dúvida. É sabido que em países em via de desenvolvimento, onde a adoção da inteligência artificial e a transformação digital está na fase inicial, e grande parte de instituições educacionais ainda enfrentam desafios básicos, como falta de internet, eletricidade e dispositivos, como é o caso de Moçambique. Então, gostava de saber, professor, quais políticas necessárias podemos adotar ou podem ser adotadas para evitar que o avanço da tecnologia e da transformação digital aumente ainda mais a desigualdade educacional entre as zonas urbanas e rurais. Obrigada.
Bom, isso é uma ótima questão.
Desculpa.
Diga?
Sim, desculpa, só para interromper a colega que colocou a questão. Por exemplo, a CBS, Corporate Business School, é uma das escolas pioneiras que tem estado atentamente e avante para as questões de desigualdade de internet. Uma das maiores questões que nós temos colocado ao mercado é dando a propostas tantas empresas públicas ou privadas, tanto o governo, a massificação de smartphones nas instituições. Contudo, dando a resposta em tempo real a todos os cidadãos. Não sei se fiz perceber.
Sim, muito embora eu entenda que nas zonas rurais o simples facto de não haver energia pode ser um problema grave, bem como as comunicações. A solução de engenheiro que eu vejo para estas zonas é, se numa dada zona forem instalados painéis solares, eventualmente, só for uma zona ventosa, geradores eólicos, consegue-se obter a energia, mas não se conseguem as telecomunicações pelos meios normais. Todavia, já há comunicações via satélite. Por exemplo, o Elon Musk tem aqueles terminais de satélite que a gente liga à eletricidade, que houver, neste caso gerada localmente, e consegue-nos pôr uma ligação à internet via satélite, não estamos dependentes dos operadores nacionais. E o Elon Musk é homem suficiente para que se recebesse uma carta vossa das aldeias, da CBS, etc., a dizer, passa-se isto assim, 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 gostávamos de instalar nesta aldeia um terminal seu, você dá-nos esse terminal, oferece-nos o acesso, porque essa é a parte que interessa, é o oferecer, quer dizer, não interessa vocês dizerem que vão comprar normalmente o terminal, aliás, o terminal em si até é muito barato, mas depois há o consumo mensal. Eu iria por aí, iria tentar arranjar quem desse. Eu, há uns anos atrás, fiz parte de um clube rotário ali na zona de Lisboa e para um orfanato de garotas, elas não tinham computadores nenhuns. E então, eu, enquanto rotário, fui à HP chorar-me por computadores. Eles ofereceram meia dúzia de computadores. E depois fui à Microsoft chorar-me pelo sistema operativo. Pois eu não quero aqui piratear nada. E eles ofereceram. Foi muito engraçado, eles sabiam para onde era, então foi o dia da inauguração, foi o pessoal da HP, foi o pessoal da Microsoft, claro, foram os outros rotários todos que ninguém se tinha mexido, mas para a fotografia todos gostam de ir, e eu faria algo semelhante aí, isto é, procuraria um fornecedor de soluções de energia solar e tentaria que ele acedesse a fazer aí numa dessas áreas mais remotas, uma instalação gratuitamente, porque até podia servir para ele usar isso como imagem e como prova de conceito que o material deles funciona mesmo nas condições mais inóspitas, e com isso e com umas baterias associadas porque aqui não basta gerar eletricidade, é preciso guardá-la. E aí, baterias, e o homem da Tesla também tem baterias, era pedir ao Elon Musk para dar um acesso gratuito para essa aldeia. E pelo menos ficávamos com um acesso à internet, okay? Cravava-se um computador ou um fornecedor local ou estrangeiro de computadores, e pelo menos para o professor da escola isso dava para ele ir buscar dados e até os guardar depois localmente, se fosse preciso, num disco rígido, uma coisa qualquer. Mas se fora estas hipóteses, pois, se vocês não quiserem pensar o fora da caixa, estão dependentes que chegue lá a eletricidade e que cheguem lá as comunicações.
A ideia do professor João é muito boa. Eu também acho que aqui em Moçambique devia ter mais energias renováveis, porque temos muita capacidade. Existem muitas fontes de energia. Não perto do mar.
Se nós estamos à espera, se nós estivermos à espera que os governos se mexam, e aqui em Portugal é a mesma coisa, nada é feito. É escusado, é? A vila ou a aldeia tem uma dificuldade, vocês têm que se reunir e resolvê-la juntos. Caso contrário, ninguém vai resolver para vocês.
Eu concordo também. Temos que ser nós a fazer por isso. Não podemos ficar à espera que os outros cheguem e façam.
Não, nem pensar.
Tem que ser nós. Eu, por acaso, concordo com isso. Do resto são histórias. Né? Nós aprendemos a fazer, temos a temática, temos a tecnologia e aplicarmos.
Exatamente. Guardanapo de papel para tomar a ideia e depois logo se vê.
Vai falar muito. O objetivo é esse. Porque as pessoas só depender dos recursos que existem. Dubai não estaria como estaria. Muitos países não estariam desenvolvidos. Ficamos só à espera que aconteça. Temos que fazer acontecer.
Exatamente.
E estava acompanhando uma notícia há pouco tempo, que até 2030, supostamente, já teriam nanorobots que estariam dentro do organismo humano para fazer a detecção de vírus, eliminar os vírus e recuperar o ser humano. Só que essa tecnologia de 2030 eu também duvido mudar. Não sei até que ponto isso é verdade. E até que ponto vai estar exposto ao público. Mas a tecnologia existe.
Isso hoje em dia, a grande dificuldade é perceber o que é verdade e o que é mentira. Porque com a inteligência artificial eu consigo pôr eu não, porque eu não sei fazer isso, mas sei que se consegue-se pôr uma pessoa qualquer a falar qualquer coisa, os movimentos dos lábios absolutamente simples, com a mesma voz, e a gente diz, pá, mas eu ouvi-o a dizer isto, e é mentira, foi tudo gerado virtualmente, de maneira que essas notícias é sempre bom confirmá-las por fontes seguras, grandes jornais internacionais, grandes revistas internacionais, porque caso contrário pode ser tudo aldrabice.
Essa é chamada de deepfake. Deepfake é
Exatamente, deepfake, tal e qual.
alterar a imagem, a cara da pessoa para
Tal e
substituir.
qual.
Isso acho que os
Absolutamente.
políticos vão usar muito para fazer propaganda.
Por exemplo, eu devo-vos dizer que instalei cá em casa, para a mulher e para os 2 filhos mais novos, que os 2 mais velhos vivem no estrangeiro, não se põe o questão, como é que a gente sabe que quando ele telefona a pedir dinheiro porque está aflito aqui ou está aflito ali, que é mesmo ele? É muito fácil.
É muito fácil.
Arranjámos um password. Portanto, quando alguém telefonasse a pedir dinheiro ou mandar um vídeo a dizer eu estou aqui, estou aflito, preciso de dinheiro, a pergunta é, ok, qual é o password? E se do lado de lá não vier o password correto, é porque era mentira. Tão simples como isto.
Sim, não, é que essa já está a ficar muito fácil. Agora com deepfake, eles podem copiar a voz só de uma chamada não atendida. Falaram em segundos, já copiam o timbre vocal e
Podem
replicam
fazer
o
tudo
timbre.
perfeito, mas se não
Sim.
houver o password, não, eu sei que é mentira.
Sim, a não ser, exatamente. É por isso que a Google agora está a proteger muito, está a duplicar muito a informação e a segurança da informação.
Eu peço desculpas, mas temos que avançar. Mas
Só para acrescentar também, aqui em Moçambique também tem um dos grandes avanços. O governo, por exemplo, tem dotado em todos os jardins municipais, tem colocado Wi-Fi à disponibilidade de todos. Um dos maiores avanços que nós temos.
Yeah.
Só para frisar. Em Moçambique, nós temos jardins municipais com Wi-Fi em tempo real a todo tempo.
Não, isso é bom, isso está bom, está ótimo.
Temos exemplo de Jardim Tunduro, para quem vai abaixo, na Vladimir Lenin, na ponta, à sua direita. Temos Wi-Fi em tempo real para todos que estiverem disponíveis em aprender em tempo real e para assistir essa aula bondosa, show de bola do professor doutor João Penha. Para nós é um grande avanço.
Não, assim, por acaso a tecnologia avançou um bocado aqui em Moçambique, que já está disponível para quem não tinha acessibilidade para isso. E já está muito mais disponível agora do que teve uns anos atrás. Só que essa mesma tecnologia que é disponível é a mesma tecnologia também que nos mantém refém. Porque ao mesmo tempo que a tecnologia evolui, também é usada para controlar as pessoas. Principalmente num país ditador como o nosso.
Eu acho que nós não vamos procurar sempre problemas, mas são soluções que nos trazem. O que nós fazemos do bem uso da tal tecnologia? Essa é a nossa pergunta que temos que fazer. O que nós fazemos do bem uso da tecnologia que nos traz? E depois, qual é o desenvolvimento que nós podemos concretizar com a tal tecnologia? Sem pôr problemas. Porque problemas já existem, mas como é que nós podemos dar respostas?
O problema do bem uso da tecnologia em Moçambique é que o bem uso quem faz são os cidadãos. Mas ok, por que os cidadãos é que fazem o bem uso? E os cidadãos têm que inovar a tecnologia. Há muitos cidadãos conscientes. Mas por que a inovação não avança de um ponto para o outro? Por que sempre estamos estacionados de um ponto para o outro? Acredito que não há queira quem avance a tecnologia. Ou quem diga que queira que avance, mas ao mesmo tempo não quer que avance. Porque sabe, se for avançar...
Ok, Iris e Elton, muito obrigadíssima pelas vossas questões. Eu sugiro que enviem, enfim, por e-mail ao professor João Penha Lopes. Temos mesmo de avançar, Mais uma questão aqui da Juliana e depois a Dharma vai chamar a colega Marta para encerrar. E estando o professor Lourenço, ou Helder, ou Elton, queira deixar uma mensagem de agradecimento ao professor Penha Lopes, faz favor, a seguir ao Ayatur. E depois, finalmente, a Dharma chama então a colega Marta para finalizar o evento. Professor, bem-aja pelas vossas questões, Elton, Aires, Janete, obrigado pela vossa participação. Vamos então à última questão e encerramos. Temos a aula a seguir. Bem-aja a todos.
Muito bem.
I want to ask what are the or how does it affect on student critical thinking?
I listen with a lot of breaks in the audio.
I want is the impact of AI on critical thinking of students?
Não, não consigo perceber. I can't understand. Can you write it down?
Yeah. What is the impact of AI on ability of thinking critically for students?
Thinking critical, yes. I must confess that after I did built my presentation, I sent it to AI. I sent to AI for my friend Gemini for him to comment. I told Gemini who was the institution that I was presenting to, and apart from one or two orthographic corrections, he said that the presentation was very reasonable. So if you do a text, a study, and you say you do the proper context of the study to the AI, the AI is able to present to you a critical, very reasonable analysis of what you have produced. Of course, that having said this, it is necessary to read everything he writes. I say he because I associate for some reason Gemini to a he, but it could be a she, doesn't matter. Because sometimes what he says is not exactly right. There are nuances in Portuguese, mainly we have a lot of nuances. So you have to read very careful whatever he writes and decide by yourself if that makes sense or not. Or if there is something that he understood differently. It also happens. You are thinking in something and he thinks something next door. Close enough, but not exactly what you want. But the answer is yes. You can use AI to criticize your work, to analyze your work, to see and give you suggestions, if that was the question as I understood it was.
Okay, thank you so much.
And I also invite my colleague Marta.
Congratulations. Great.
Thank you all for your attention. My name is Marta Redondo, and I'm a student in the course Introduction to Portuguese Society. Before we conclude, I would like to express our sincere gratitude to Professor João Penha Lopes for his insightful lecture and for sharing his time and expertise with us. We truly appreciate the depth of knowledge he brought to today's session. And I would also like to thank you, all of you, for being here, for listening, and for engaging with today's discussion. And thank you once again, and I wish you all a wonderful day.
Thank you very much, ladies. You are a very good audience. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you so much for coming.
Bye-bye.
And have a nice day. And see you soon. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Okay, cheers. Bye-bye.
Thank you, Professor.
Engenheiro Elton.
Podemos encerrar, engenheiro.
Sim, com a sua permissão, vou iniciar a gravação.
Essa ordem sempre. Quem está a gravar é os meus engenheiros, Cornélio.
Engenheiro Coronel, podemos iniciar a gravação.